The holidays are supposed to be about joy, but for some, it's the season of absolute insanity. We've found 55 of the most delusional, entitled, and hilarious Christmas complaints ever recorded. From calling the cops on a snowman to reporting a mall Santa for being too skinny and healthy, these people are living on a different planet. You think your relatives are difficult? Wait until you hear why one woman tried to sue a charity. Let's get into the madness. 1. A woman stormed into a department store demanding a refund for the complimentary gift wrapping service, but not because it was bad. She was furious because the wrapping was too beautiful. She claimed the intricate bows and premium paper were so artistically perfect that her family felt guilty tearing them open. She argued the excessive quality actually ruined Christmas morning because her kids sat there staring at the boxes, too afraid to destroy the art. She literally wanted the store to apologize for making the packaging feel more valuable than the gifts inside. 2. A mother complained to mall management that the Santa Claus on duty was too fit. She claimed that his lack of a massive jiggly belly was body-shaming the children and ruining the historical accuracy of the character. She felt that a skinny Santa was sending a confusing message about cookie consumption and demanded that he either wear a pillow under his suit or be fired for not meeting the corporeal standards of the North Pole. She was actually offended that the man took care of his health. 3. A tourist visiting New York City for the first time was absolutely furious that the snow on the streets wasn't white. She filed a complaint with the city's tourism board, stating that the gray, slushy mess on the sidewalks was false advertising compared to the movies. She genuinely believed the city was responsible for bleaching the streets or putting down fresh powder every hour for her aesthetic pleasure. Have you ever met someone whose expectations were this dangerously detached from reality? 4. Buying a real tree is a commitment to nature, but one family didn't get the memo. They called the tree farm 3 days after Christmas demanding they pay for a fumigator. Why? They found a single, small spider in the branches of their Douglas fir. They argued that by selling them a natural product, the farm had implicitly guaranteed it would be a sterile, bug-free zone. The father shouted that he didn't pay $50 to bring wildlife into his living room, apparently forgetting that a tree is literally a plant that lives outside in the dirt. 5. Hotels provide many amenities, but stocking the room with gifts isn't usually one of them. A guest at a Marriott called the front desk in a rage on Christmas morning because there were no presents under the small decorative tree in the lobby. She claimed her children were crying because they thought Santa had skipped the hotel. She demanded the concierge fix the mistake by immediately purchasing and wrapping toys for her kids at the hotel's expense. She literally expected the night clerk to be Santa Claus. 6. Biology class clearly failed this man. He stormed back to the garden center in January demanding a full refund for his 6-foot pine tree. The reason? It hadn't grown an inch. Despite watering it daily, he was furious that the cut tree didn't get taller inside his living room. He accused the store of selling him a genetically stunted runt and refused to believe that chopping a tree down actually kills it. He genuinely thought he could grow a forest right there on his living room carpet. 7. An HOA board member received a bizarre letter from a resident complaining about his neighbor's LED Christmas lights. The complaint wasn't about the brightness or the flashing pattern. The resident claimed that the blue wavelength emitted by the lights was interfering with his Wi-Fi signal and causing his Netflix to buffer. He attached a printout of a conspiracy theory form as scientific proof and demanded the neighbor switch to analog incandescent bulbs to protect the neighborhood's internet speeds. 8. A man sued his own parents for emotional fraud because they told him Santa was real for 8 years. He argued that the years of deception caused him trust issues and psychological trauma that required financial compensation. He wasn't joking. He wanted them to pay for his therapy bills and a cash settlement for years of lied-to labor regarding good behavior. Imagine trying to legally monetize your own childhood innocence. 9. A couple booked a romantic Christmas getaway to Fairbanks, Alaska, specifically to see the Northern Lights. Upon arrival, they filed a formal complaint with the hotel management because it was too dark outside at 2 p.m. They were furious that the sun set so early and claimed the hotel had failed to disclose that the Arctic Circle experiences winter darkness. They genuinely asked the concierge to turn on some floodlights to simulate daylight so they could take better selfies, completely ignoring how the actual sun works. 10. A parent wrote an angry email to a primary school principal regarding the holiday choir performance. The issue: the children sang Silent Night, and her son, who was in the back row, yawned during the song. She accused the music teacher of failing to engage her child and creating a boring atmosphere that humiliated her family. She honestly believed that a 7-year-old yawning at 8 p.m. on a Thursday was a sign of educational negligence rather than just a tired kid. 11. Apartment living has its downsides, but demanding structural renovation for a myth is a new one. A tenant sent a legal notice to his landlord demanding a rent reduction for the month of December. His grievance? The apartment didn't have a chimney. He argued that the lack of a fireplace discriminated against Santa Claus and made it impossible for his children to receive gifts properly. He actually expected the landlord to cut a hole in the roof and install a masonry chimney within 48 hours. 12. A mall Santa in Minnesota was fired after a mother complained that he took a bathroom break. She wasn't upset that the line was long. She was furious that he walked past the line to get to the restrooms. She argued that seeing Santa enter a public toilet shattered the magical illusion for her kids because immortal beings don't need to pee. She actually demanded that the mall install a catheter system in the chair so Santa would never have to stand up during his 8-hour shift. 13. Inanimate objects cannot have religious preferences, but try telling that to this shopper. He filed a complaint with a department store manager because the automatic sliding doors didn't play a recorded Merry Christmas message when they opened. He claimed the silent doors were a symptom of the war on Christmas and that the store was trying to silence the holiday. He demanded they install a voice box to verbally greet every single customer, or he would boycott. How fragile does your ego have to be to need validation from a glass door? 14. A woman called 911, the actual emergency line, because her local nail salon was closed on Christmas Day. She told the dispatcher that she had broken a nail while opening presents, and it was a cosmetic emergency that required immediate police intervention to force the owner to open the shop. When the operator explained that a broken nail isn't a life-threatening crisis, the woman screamed that her holiday aesthetic was bleeding out and threatened to sue the police department for negligence. 15. You think your relatives are bad? A man sued his own nephew in small claims court over a scratch-off lottery ticket. The uncle gave the ticket as a gift, and the nephew won $500. The uncle argued that since he bought the ticket, the winnings were legally his intellectual property, and the nephew was only entitled to the $1 paper value. He genuinely believed that a gift is only a gift if it's worthless, and tried to legally repossess the Christmas joy he just gave away. 16. You think your boss is bad? A manager called HR to complain that his employees didn't buy him a Christmas gift. He argued that since he approved their holiday bonuses, they were ethically obligated to kick back a percentage in the form of a present. He claimed that receiving nothing was a sign of insubordination and lack of team spirit. He essentially wanted to make gifting up the corporate ladder mandatory, treating gratitude as a tax his subordinates owed him. 17. A customer returned a brand new microwave the day after Christmas because it ruined the surprise. The issue wasn't the appliance itself, but the shipping box. The company had shipped it in the original box with a picture of a microwave on the side. The customer argued that the delivery driver should have known to hide the box behind a bush or drape a blanket over it so his wife wouldn't see what it was. He blamed the manufacturer for spoiling the magic of a kitchen appliance. 18. Charity workers deal with the absolute worst entitlement. A mother at a donation center was offered a brand new free bicycle for her child. Instead of saying thank you, she threw a massive tantrum because the bike was blue. She screamed that her son hates blue and accused the charity of being thoughtless for not stocking every color option like a retail store. She actually tried to make the volunteers spray paint it red on the spot. Does this level of ingratitude make your blood boil, or what? 19. A gym member filed a formal grievance against the management for closing the gym at noon on Christmas Eve. His reasoning was pure insanity. He claimed that he planned to eat 6,000 calories the next day and needed to pre-burn them off late that night. He argued that by closing early, the gym was complicit in his future obesity and was sabotaging his health goals. He demanded they give him a key to the facility so he could work out alone while the staff went home to their families. 20. An online shopper left a 1-star review for a festive, scented candle labeled Christmas Cookie. She wasn't mad about the smell. She was furious because she, and please listen carefully, tried to eat the wax. She claimed the label was misleading because it didn't explicitly say "do not eat" in large bold letters on the front. She admitted it tasted like soap and chemicals, but blamed the company for making it smell too delicious for a person with low impulse control to resist. 21. Imagine looking out at the Swiss Alps during a blizzard and thinking, "This looks fake." That's exactly what one guest in room 304 did. She screamed at management because the snowflakes falling on her balcony all looked the same. She had expected the unique crystalline variety promised in science textbooks and accused the resort of pumping in cheap, mass-produced artificial snow to cut costs. She demanded a refund because nature failed to provide enough diversity in its precipitation. 22. Snowplows are loud beasts, but they are necessary evils. A resident in Buffalo, however, called the city council to complain about the noise at 4 a.m. She demanded that the plows turn off their engines and coast silently down her street while clearing 3 feet of snow. When told that heavy machinery requires loud diesel engines to operate, she suggested they switch to electric shovels, or just wait until noon when she was awake. She wanted clear roads, but only if they could be achieved in total silence. 23. Security actually had to be called on a visitor at a live nativity scene in Florida, and not because he was drunk. He was furious about the donkey's facial expression. He filed a formal complaint claiming the animal looked too depressed and was ruining the joyful vibe of Christ's birth. He demanded the staff feed it sugar cubes or tickle it to make it smile for his photos, refusing to accept that donkeys just naturally look like they are having a midlife crisis. 24. Technology often confuses people, but this guy was living in a sci-fi fantasy. He returned a smart plug for his Christmas tree lights, claiming it was defective because when he talked to the tree, it didn't talk back. He genuinely believed the device gave his plastic fir tree sentience and the ability to hold a conversation like a robot companion. He was clearly lonely, but accusing a $5 plug of failing the Turing test is a whole new level of sad. 25. Ordering a Happy Birthday Jesus cake is a sweet gesture until you try to use it to commit theft. A woman attempted to walk out of a bakery with her custom cake without paying. When stopped, she screamed that charging her was a sin because it was Jesus' birthday, so he, or the church, should foot the bill. She claimed asking for money for the Lord's cake was blasphemy. Do you think this is extreme piety or just the boldest scam ever attempted? 26. Physics took a holiday for this Texas family. The father spent a fortune trucking in real snow for a backyard party when it was 15 degrees outside. Naturally, it melted instantly. Instead of blaming the son, he sued the delivery company for a defective product. He argued they should have treated the snow with heat-resistant chemicals because he paid for a winter wonderland, not temporary ice water. Apparently, money can buy almost anything except common sense. 27. We have all heard of choosing beggars, but this takes the cake. A recipient of a free charity food basket called the Food Bank to complain that the turkey they received wasn't organic or free-range. They lectured the volunteer on the phone about the dangers of antibiotics in poultry and threatened to leave a 1-star Yelp review for the charity if they didn't drive out a premium bird immediately. Seriously, How do you handle someone who demands luxury treatment while receiving a literal handout? 28. Returning a perfectly good 70-inch 4K TV the day after Christmas takes guts. A man did exactly that because the Yule log video he played didn't crackle loudly enough. He argued that for $2,000 the TV should produce the smell of burning pine and the radiant heat of a real fire. He called the technology primitive because it only provided a picture and sound, not a full olfactory experience. Imagine being disappointed that your television didn't literally set your house on fire. 29. Calling the police over wrapping paper seems impossible, yet here we are. A woman dialed 911 because her neighbor across the street used birthday paper with clowns and balloons to wrap their Christmas gifts. She claimed seeing non-seasonal paper in their recycling bin was sacrilegious and confusing to the neighborhood children. She argued it was an eyesore that lowered property values and wanted officers to force the neighbor to rewrap everything in red and green. 30. Big Ben is a historical icon, but for one tourist it was just a broken jukebox. They filed a formal complaint against the City of London because the famous clock didn't chime to the tune of Jingle Bells on Christmas Day. They argued that such a major attraction had a responsibility to get into the festive mood and called the standard bell toll boring and repetitive. Imagine being so entitled you think a 160-year-old monument should function like a cheap musical greeting card. 31. Receiving a charitable donation in your name is usually seen as a noble, heartwarming gift. However, one man called the charity Oxfam in a rage after his sister bought a goat for a village in his honor. He wasn't mad about the goat. He was furious that the charity refused to send him the cash value of the animal. He argued that since the gift was technically his, the village was stealing his property. He demanded they repossess the goat so he could buy a PlayStation. 32. Outdoor ice skating is a winter staple, but gravity is apparently a lawsuit waiting to happen. A woman filed a liability claim against a city rink after she fell down. She didn't trip over a crack. She simply lost her balance. Her argument was that the ice was negligently slippery and too cold, which caused her muscles to seize up. She insisted the city should use high-friction ice or heat the surface to a comfortable room temperature. Do people like this genuinely not understand how water freezes? 33. Meteorology is a science of prediction, not control, but don't tell that to this guy. He sent a threatening letter to his local weatherman because it rained on Christmas Day instead of snowing. He accused the meteorologist of ruining his family photos with his incompetent forecast and demanded the station pay for a professional Photoshop editor to add snow to his muddy backyard pictures. He truly believed the weatherman had a button on his desk that controlled the clouds and just chose not to press it. 34. Modern privacy laws are important, but applying them to the North Pole is insane. A father filed a formal complaint with a shopping mall because the Santa Claus asked his child, "Have you been a good boy this year?" The father claimed this question violated his son's GDPR data privacy rights by asking him to disclose personal behavioral history in a public setting. He demanded Santa sign a non-disclosure agreement before speaking to the child again. 35. A wealthy family booked a flight from Los Angeles to Sydney departing late on Christmas Eve. Due to crossing the international date line, they landed on December 26th, effectively skipping Christmas Day entirely. They filed a massive lawsuit against the airline for temporal theft and demanded the pilot fly the plane backwards across the Pacific to recover the lost hours. They refused to understand that time zones are a planetary fact, not an airline policy designed to personally rob them of their holiday ham. 36. Constructing a gingerbread house is supposed to be a fun, messy challenge. Yet, a woman returned a kit to the grocery store claiming it was architecturally unsound. She was shouting that the frosting cement lacked the tensile strength to hold the roof up and accused the bakery of selling a condemned building. She wanted a refund because she, a 40-year-old woman, couldn't get cookies to defy gravity. If you can't build a cookie house, how do you handle real-life problems? 37. The Polar Express. Themed train rides are popular family attractions, but they usually just go in a loop. One father, however, sued the railway company for false advertising because the train didn't actually transport his family to the geographic North Pole. He was furious that they didn't cross international borders or see the actual magnetic pole. He argued that for the ticket price, a round-trip journey to the Arctic Circle was implied, ignoring the fact that it would take weeks and require survival gear. 38. A grocery store manager had to deal with a furious customer who returned a raw turkey on December 26th. She wasn't mad that it was spoiled. She was angry because she had roasted the bird for 4 hours without taking it out of the plastic packaging. She argued that the store was negligent for not selling the turkey in oven-safe shrink wrap. She blamed them for the melted plastic disaster that ruined her oven, taking zero responsibility for trying to cook a bird that was still hermetically sealed. 39. Cooking a whole turkey is intimidating, but biology shouldn't be a mystery. A Gen Z shopper returned a frozen turkey to the butcher shop because it didn't have the nuggets inside. They genuinely thought that turkeys were stuffed with pre-breaded dinosaur-shaped nuggets and were horrified to find bones instead. They accused the butcher of gutting the good parts and leaving them with a useless carcass. Seriously, where do they think food comes from? 40. Utilities are expensive, but this homeowner found a creative way to try and dodge the bill. He called his electric company in January screaming about a massive $400 charge. He didn't deny using the power for his Griswold-style light display. He admitted it. However, he argued that because his decorations brought joy to the community, the electricity should be free. He literally claimed his private light show was a public service and demanded the power company sponsor his bill as a charitable donation to the neighborhood. 41. Gag gifts are supposed to be funny, but one father took a lump of coal way too seriously. His son received a realistic-looking piece of coal made of hardened sugar in his stocking. The dad filed a complaint with the candy company because the coal wouldn't catch fire. He had actually tried to throw the candy into his furnace to heat the living room, and was furious that it just melted into a sticky, sugary mess instead of generating BTUs. He genuinely wanted a refund for the low-quality fuel. 42. A homeowner received a violation notice from their homeowners association regarding a light-up sign in their yard that simply said, "Peace on Earth." The neighbor who filed the complaint argued that the message was too political and divisive, given the current global climate. They claimed that publicly wishing for world peace was a passive-aggressive attack on their personal beliefs and demanded the sign be changed to something neutral and less controversial. Imagine being triggered by the concept of not fighting. 43. Paying taxes is annoying, but this woman took it to a new level of delusion. She stormed into a Target service desk demanding a refund on a gift card purchase because she was charged sales tax. Her logic? Since it was a gift card, the government had no right to tax the transaction. She literally demanded the store pay the $3 out of their own pocket because math ruins the holiday spirit. Is this just stupidity or a brilliant new tax evasion strategy? 44. Coffee shops roll out festive flavors every year, but one customer expected a literal miracle in a cup. She returned her holiday spice latte after 2 sips because it didn't make her feel Christmas spirit. She argued that the advertising promised joy in every cup. And since she was still depressed about her recent breakup after drinking it, the coffee was defective. She actually accused the barista of false advertising for not serving her a liquid antidepressant topped with whipped cream. 45. Pet owners can be intense. A woman demanded a refund for her dog's photo with Santa because the dog wasn't smiling. She claimed that the mall Santa was a fraud because he clearly wasn't a dog whisperer. She argued that a real Santa would have the magical ability to communicate with animals and convince her terrified Chihuahua to look at the camera with a toothy grin. She refused to accept that her dog was just a dog, and a scared one at that. 46. Hosting dinner is exhausting enough without guests treating your house like a free grocery store. A woman called her sister the day after Christmas to complain that she didn't receive enough leftovers to take home. She was furious that the host had only given her one Tupperware of turkey and no pie. She argued that as a guest, she was entitled to a full week's worth of meal prep and accused her sister of being stingy with the ham. Would you ever invite someone back if they tried to loot your fridge? 47. Brand loyalty is a foreign concept to some people. A shopper screamed at a Walmart cashier because they refused to accept an Amazon gift card as payment. The customer insisted that since both companies sell things, the money should be interchangeable. She argued that denying the card was a monopolistic practice designed to hurt the consumer. She stood there holding up the line, genuinely baffled that a physical store wouldn't honor a digital currency from their biggest competitor. 48. Taking down the tree is a chore, but one tenant thought full service removal was included in his taxes. He dragged his dry, needle-shedding pine tree to the curb on a Tuesday. When the garbage truck didn't pick it up immediately, he called the sanitation department. He wasn't just mad about the delay. He complained that the garbage men didn't come inside his house to drag it out for him. He claimed that heavy lifting was part of their job description, not his. 49. A tourist visiting a national park in Canada filed a written complaint because the wild caribou looked scruffy and muddy. She argued that the park rangers were negligent for not washing and grooming the wild animals daily during December to match the pristine image of Rudolph in the cartoons. She actually claimed the dirty fur was false advertising for a winter wonderland experience and demanded a refund on her entry fee. Would you laugh in her face, or is that just too polite of a reaction? 50. Street performers work hard for tips, but one passerby accused a choir of audio fraud. The man stopped a group of carolers on the sidewalk and accused them of lip-syncing to a backing track. He claimed they sounded too good to be amateurs and demanded they sing a cappella on the spot to prove they weren't faking it. When they did, he still wasn't satisfied, claiming they were using hidden microphones to enhance their pitch. He was essentially angry that the free entertainment was high quality. 51. Astronomy is a beautiful science, but one couple apparently flunked it. They booked a romantic, stargazing Christmas Eve package at a desert resort, but filed for a refund the next morning. Their reason? The North Star wasn't significantly brighter than the other stars. They claimed the marketing implied it would be a massive, glowing beacon, guiding them like the three wise men. They accused the cosmos of being underwhelming and blamed the hotel for not installing a higher wattage star in the sky. 52. You know those people who think the world revolves around them? A customer at a coffee shop filed a corporate complaint because the seasonal peppermint mocha was too spicy. He wasn't allergic. He just found the mint flavor to be aggressive and claimed it caused a burning sensation in his mouth that constituted a safety hazard. He argued that the menu should have a warning label comparing the candy cane syrup to jalapenos. It is genuinely hard to believe people like this managed to survive into adulthood without a handler. 53. A woman in a suburban neighborhood called the city zoning office to report her neighbor's snowman. She wasn't upset about its size. She was offended by its gender ambiguity. She complained that the snowman lacked defining male or female characteristics and accused the neighbor of promoting a radical genderless agenda to the local children. She demanded the city force the neighbor to either add a top hat and tie or a dress to the pile of snow to clarify its biological identity. 54. Movie theaters are for watching films, not living them. A patron demanded a refund after seeing A Christmas Carol because the ghosts weren't scary enough. He argued that the film was advertised as a ghost story and he expected a full-blown horror experience that would terrify him. He claimed the movie was false advertising because he didn't scream once. He was genuinely angry that a heartwarming Dickens classic didn't function like a slasher film. 55. Office Secret Santa exchanges are supposed to be fun, cheap, and low stakes. However, one employee filed a harassment claim against a coworker for buying a gift that was too thoughtful. She argued that by receiving a personalized, handmade gift, she was made to look bad because she had only bought a generic $10 candle for her person. She claimed the thoughtful gift created a hostile work environment of superior gifting and competitive kindness that made her feel inadequate. From suing the weather to demanding tax-free gift cards, we've reached the peak of holiday delusion. It proves that for some, it's not Christmas unless they're making everyone else miserable. If this made you feel better about your family, hit that like button and subscribe. Now, I need you to be the judge. Who takes home the golden trophy for the absolute dumbest complaint? Was it the guy suing his parents over Santa, the candle eater, or the genius trying to grow a dead tree? Vote in the comments.